So is it an antidote to cry when you feel tremendously fearful? Mm-hmm. That's a good question. There are only 4 things to do with appearances, and only one of them doesn't require a doer. The first 3 that require a doer are 1, to indulge the point of view. The second is to avoid the point of view. So indulgence would be the fear comes up and all of a sudden you're totally afraid. And you start thinking about why you're afraid. Oh, I'm afraid because there are all these nuclear missiles and the world might come to an end. And pretty soon you start to think about, oh, how did this come about? All these countries are at war. People just can't get along. This is a terrible world we live in. I don't like it here. I should kill myself or move to Australia, or, So all these points of view are indulged. The fear is indulged and it's described, and then we really get afraid. So we started out with just the thought of fear, and then it spun out into this free fall of terror. Okay, that's the first thing to do with the appearance of fear. The second thing to do with the appearance of fear is to avoid it like the plague. So fear comes up and you say, okay, fear. Now I have to purify this fear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into solitude, or I'm going to become celibate. And in that way, I'm going to overcome all this fear I feel about everything. So that's avoidance of the fear. And that might neutralize the fear, but it doesn't completely resolve the fear. And then the third approach would be to replace the fear with a positive state, an antidote. And so the fear comes up, and the fear is recognized as fear, and you say to yourself, okay, I'm afraid. I've got to do good works. I'm going to go out and help somebody, and that way I'm going to get rid of the fear. Or I'm going to cultivate happy thoughts, and in that way I'm going to get rid of the fear. So I'm going to get on the internet and stay on for about 3 or 4 hours and numb out by looking up all the causes of fear. Which will only lead to being much more afraid. Having a lot more points of view. So those are the first 3 things to do with fear. The fourth is rest as awareness, and as awareness, see all as awareness until all is awareness. Only the fourth does not have a doer. The fourth rests in the source of the fear. And in doing so, more and more, the fear is seen as the dynamic energy of awareness. It's inseparable from awareness, just like the color blue is inseparable from the sky. They've never been separated from each other. They're not two. The fear and its purity as fear and originally pure awareness are not two. The entire basic space of the fear is primordially pure awareness, but that can only be recognized and decisively experienced in and as awareness. It can't be experienced through indulging, avoiding, or replacing the fear with another state. Now, the matter of crying. The crying, it just sounds like another spontaneous appearance. There was the fear, and then that was the appearance of the point of view of fear. Then there was the appearance of the crying, the point of view of crying. Crying, it's just a spontaneous expression. It too is insubstantial of an independent identity. Crying is insubstantial and identityless. Fear is insubstantial and identityless. But if the crying and the fear are taken to really mean something significant, then they will. to get totally familiar with the totally pristine ground that is the basis of both requires just resting as awareness, even if there are unrestful bodily sensations like crying or pain or anything else, emotional pain. Continue to rest as awareness and not separating out from what's happening, but just notice that the awareness and whatever is appearing are inseparable. Nothing needs to be done about whatever is appearing. It will vanish naturally in and of itself, like a line drawn in water or the flight path of a bird in the sky. They're their own undoing. All these appearances are their own undoing. The dynamic energy of awareness is pure space, aware pure space. It's impossible to hold on to. So even if you tried to hold on to the fear forever and work yourself up into a state of fear that was so tremendous you'd explode, you wouldn't be able to do so. It's impossible. So all this seeming terror and discontent is a fabrication. Now, if you want to take it to be real, please. I wouldn't suggest it, but go right ahead. But I do suggest that even if you think I'm a total kook, that you come back here at least 6 times. What could it hurt? You spend 6 hours of your life here. It's only taking all these disturbing emotions to be so real, and then the impulse to act upon them feeds these emotions. It feeds them, and it makes them seem like they are real, and that they are the basis for action, and that they're the only basis for knowing how to decide what to do, the only basis for knowing what is right or what is wrong. But if they were the basis for knowing what is right and wrong, then we as a species would have accumulated a lot of right by now, and we haven't. We haven't at all. We haven't come up to a positive conclusion. So why not rely on the wisdom that puts all of these in a definitive reality of complete wise action that leads to something beneficial? Today, not only at one time there were many simple understandings about emotional states and thoughts, even when there were attempts to purify them. There were very simple understandings about these things, and a lot of support from small communities where people live. But today now, the descriptions of what causes things like disturbing emotions, we can buy one book and it tells us what to do with disturbing emotions. We feel hopeful when we read it. Oh, this is going to work. I'm going to apply this. Oh, it works today. I feel so free. This is it. I'm happy forever. We read the book. We feel hopeful. We set it aside, and a few days later, we're back to the same grind. Or we're just applying antidotes. Then we reach for another self-help book. So we can spend our whole life buying books and applying these antidotes to disturbing emotions, trying to apply point of view to point of view in order to make it better. Resting as awareness requires no books. And it completely resolves all disturbing states, no matter what they are. And it isn't only the negative emotions that are disturbing. All emotions are disturbing. Because the good ones we want to hold on to, and we can't. And the disturbing ones we want to get rid of, and we can't. So all emotions are disturbing. When we rest as a wisdom awareness that is the basis of all pure phenomena, then we get familiar with what is really true.